Good morning, everyone. So we are about to start. Today, our executive director is busy today. So we have Shri Tapas Trivedi, who is the co-CI in this project, under which we are organizing this webinar. This webinar is being organized under Future Skill Prime project, and this is the second webinar in this month. In these webinars, we are trying to address the students who are looking forward for career in or opportunities in blockchain. So keeping that thing in mind, we are inviting industry persons. So today we have Shri Keshri Asthanaji with us. So before we start, I request Shri Tapas Trivedi to welcome him on this to this webinar today. Tapasa, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Kesri Kumar Asthanaji, my colleagues, and my dear participants. I would like to congratulate every participant, my colleagues, and my previous speaker for grand success of the previous webinar, which was held on 11th November of 2021. Before going to the main speaker of today, I would like to say a few words about the background of FSP program. Actually, there have been some serious technology gaps with the growing demands, and to bridge up the gaps, to minimize the gaps, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, in short MITI, Government of India, in collaboration with NASCOM and IT industry, launched Future Skill Prime program. And with this program, 10 technologies have been highlighted. And we are very glad to announce that NIELIT Kolkata, our organization, is the lead resource center of blockchain technologies. I am conveying my heartful thanks to Mr. Kesri Kumar Asthanaji for sparing his valuable time to be a speaker of today's webinar. I wish my best regards to him and grand success of this program. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tapasda, for motivating us so that we can have such webinars on board every month.
Welcome, Resmi.
Yeah. Keshri Kumar Asthanaji is a senior cloud solution architect at Microsoft. He is an experienced solutions architect with a demonstrated history of working in the computer software industry. Skilled in IT strategy, enterprise architecture, digital transformation, cloud adoption, pre-sales, and business relationship management. Strong software architecture professional with an MBA from Symbiosis and certified in TOGAF, Judgment, and various Microsoft certifications. He has worked with companies to name a few: Nucleus, Reliance, Bank of America, Barclays. He has a degree in Master of Business Administration, and apart from this, we are very happy to announce that he has also done DOIC A level, which we are now NIELIT, but formerly we were known as DOIC, and he has done DOIC A level with us. So that is an added opportunity for us to work with him, and we are very happy to invite you again, sir. And without wasting any time, let us move on to our webinar session with you.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Hope everybody is able to hear me fine.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay. So before I start my session today, thank you, Tapasda, and thank you, Rashmi, to giving me an opportunity.
We have Krishna Kuli and Devopriya also in our team. They have also joined.
Hi.
Krishna Kuli and Devopriya, you can wave off to him.
Sure. Hi, Devopriya. Hi, Krishna Kuli. Thank you so much, and thanks for giving me opportunity. It's good to return back to my my alumni and meet other people. It would have been great if we could come over physically and meet everybody. And
we are also looking forward for this to have more sessions with you.
Thank you so much, and we'll surely will do that. And to start with the session, well, I will take you through what blockchain has been doing globally. Uh, the participants, I know they are technically very good on blockchain, so I'll not be giving more a very very technical gyan on blockchain, but I'll more of be going through the different use cases, how blockchain is being used globally by multiple companies, what are they trying to do, and we'll also take you through name of the companies in India who are working in blockchain, where you guys or the students have an opportunity to join them and do stuff, and what are the different areas that students can contribute as a technical resource into these organizations. So this will be the three prime areas. I'll touch upon what a blockchain introduction, but more of just a context. So that's how we'll be restructuring this. Um,
So
and
my request is just keep it just plain and simple, because the participants who have registered with us, they are actually doing their graduation, and they would be looking forward for opportunities in blockchain. That is why they have shown their
yeah,
interest. So I just want them to have a very nice flavor of blockchain. Since I've been working with for blockchain or with blockchain technology for last 1.5 years, all of us, we were very new, but it is a very interesting technology. So I want to make them accustomed with this thing, and how they can take this as an opportunity to take up a job in MNCs. That is
sure.
what they're looking for.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I'm going to share my screen and
Yes, sir, your
yeah,
screen is visible enough.
fantastic. So uh, since I've already been introduced, I'll quickly jump to the blockchain and what is the business use case of why the blockchain was really required. Okay, the way that you know business or data or information flows, the information, if it is centered or if it is only with one entity, might be that information might be of great use internally for that particular entity or an organization, but if it doesn't flow out, the organization doesn't have an opportunity to move out or spread out his business. So that is the reason why things became business wise, the entire globe, the whole foundation of business became sharing of information, sharing of data, sharing of goods. Earlier we had barter, then currencies came in, exchanges came in. So the whole aspect of how business is run and how business is done has the very basis of sharing information, sharing data. And as soon as you start sharing data, you will start seeing that the data, the most pure form of data sharing, makes the most cleanest of businesses and makes the most successful of businesses, both from profits perspective as well as from a success of the business perspective. So the very basic of sharing data and yeah, sharing data. Now, but what has really happened over what really happens when you share data is the whole process becomes very slow and very costly. The way the information is growing, the way the data is being growing, the type of consumerism that is coming across across the world, the way that a simple phone in our hands is being assembled in 5 different factories, a bike that we ride is assembled in 3 different factories, shows the amount of data and information that needs to be shared across organizations. If you take a simple automobile, the seat of the bike that you ride, the cover is created in another factory. The foam of the seat itself is created in another factory. The frame is created in another factory. The tire is created in another factory. The spokes, the hub is created in another factory. So itself, the amount of information that needs to come through for one bike to get created or one bike to get manufactured and then sold itself is huge. And the more diverse the factories are, the more diverse the industry is, the more slower the process becomes. And what it also becomes is it increases as soon as it becomes slower, as soon as it becomes diverse, it increases the friction. It's by design, right? As soon as you start moving information to multiple areas, or start getting multiple people sharing information, frictions develop. And what the blockchain network allows you to do is, it allows you to reduce cost, it allows you to, it saves your time and lowers the risk. So once you introduce blockchain in the whole flow, it will ensure that these challenges are getting solved. Friction goes away, time, save, money, risks gets reduced. The information of the, for example, the quality check of the leather of a seat cover of the bike is very much done by a particular organization, by the bike manufacturer, is getting validated using a blockchain, versus the earlier it was getting validated by a paper or email. It's changed the way the world now looks into how the things are moving forward. Since the blockchain, as you all know, cannot be very valid modified by any other party except those two parties, and it is immutable, cannot be changed, etc., etc., ensures that the quality check of the seat cover is what is actually shows the reality of the whole scenario, or reality of the check. So it has really become, blockchain has really become a huge asset in ensuring that your when your data is flowing across boundaries, right? Trust boundaries. As in one organization you trust, your trust inside an organization is great, right? But as soon as you become one of the other organizations, okay, like again the bike example, the bike manufacturer, who's the assembler, they trust their organization, they trust their employees. But to enable them to trust the other partners, it's a different trust boundary. And the data business has to flow across two trust boundaries. So that to develop a trust between the two boundaries is something that blockchain helps. It ensures that the data that is being shared using blockchain, if an institute is signing a particular data in a blockchain, the others can validate that data and ensure that it's actually right. And what it also ensures is that multiple parties can now work on the same data. So blockchain has ensured that even if there are multiple parties working on the same data, the data ensures the data integrity remains there, and the data doesn't lose its form and its purity. So once you have the integrity, once you have the purity, the trust comes implicitly. Then the third one is your intermediaries, right? The single source, because now there is no intermediary or no person in between who's carrying the papers of your quality checks. Now the blockchain is the single source of truth. So if the blockchain says that this is right, it will implicitly mean that it's right. If the blockchain row says that this quality is defective, that's what it is. And since there are contracts, you would have already read about smart contracting and the contracts involved in blockchain. Since there are contracts in place and blockchain, it ensures that you have a single source of truth accepted by both of the guys, and ensuring that the data is in the purest form available for both of them. And it also ensures that it reduces the manual intervention in this whole activity, ensures that with the minimal manual intervention you get the data available for you to validate anything. So blockchain has made this resistance, this friction, this whole trust deficit move away, gone. And that is one of the biggest the benefits that blockchain brings in. The trust deficit is gone. The businesses can share data across their boundaries with full trust. So this, I'm quickly going to take through this because you've already gone through what is a blockchain, but it's data stored in ledger, in in a one record of every transaction. The most important part that I want to talk about in blockchain is that the data is immutable. You would have already read that, studied that, but please understand, what does immutable mean? When the data is signed by a particular authority or a particular owner or the writer, that means that row is completely owned by that person. The person now is liable for that row of data. He is answerable for that row of data, as well as he can be asked or questioned for that row of data. And it can be any legal scenarios or normal scenarios. So what it ensures that if a person is putting in a data with his signature, it becomes very important that he ensures that the data that goes into the blockchain is in the purest form and the most correct form, because he will be asked, because since that data can never be changed, he can any day in future be asked about that data. So that is the advantage that the blockchain is being bringing. It brings onus, it brings responsibility, it brings answerability on the person who is putting in that data in the blockchain. And that is what is giving the trust and the confidence to the other organizations. There are two types of applications that fit into blockchains. Okay. Now, once you start thinking about working as blockchain experts, right? You cannot create all types of applications into blockchain. That would be over engineering. Don't worry about getting each application into blockchain. That's a wrong way to think. The best way to think is there are only two categories of application that you should try and fit into blockchain. One is a workflow based application where the data is flowing across trust domains or trust zones. Okay, so your when there is a workflow, when there is 5 steps in a particular in a particular work business use case, just I'll take an example, right? If you are buying a particular land, okay, land purchase itself is 4 or 5 steps in a workflow, right? And first there is an agreement between agreement to sell first, number one. Then there is underwriting, validation checks. Then there is uh, again agreement, exchanges on financials. The financial parties approve it. Then finally there is the whole transfer and the sale deed that gets signed. Now, and then the final, the land records, the person gets the land record. So this is a workflow based application where one step is done after the second step. That is one of the use cases of blockchain. Then there are applications where you have data getting exchanged across. So example, suppose you have a item, an export item getting transmitted from a country A to country B. Suppose you are importing an item from say US to India, or you are exporting an item from India to US or UK. There will be 50 different parties in the whole path. Okay. And you will need to ensure that the good that is getting transferred from your to the country or from the country to your destination always remains integrated in integrate. It doesn't lose its integrity. For example, if I have to share, if I have to export something which needs to remain at a particular temperature throughout the end-to-end route, door to door, it has to remain, say, at -5 degrees centigrade. Example is our vaccines that are getting transmitted or transferred, right? If we have to ensure that these are maintained at a particular temperature for the entire route, how do you do that? A factory or a person who's going to consume the injection is not going to monitor this flow end to end. That is where you need to ensure that this whole injection, whosoever picks and delivers to the next point, ensures that the data that is getting the injection is getting transferred in the controlled environment that it is being asked for. And that is where you use blockchain. This ensures that the each of these entities transfer the data to blockchain, and that data ensures the integrity. The smart contract in the blockchain ensures the integrity of the injection over there. So that is the kind of applications where you will use blockchain. Now, what are the different use cases, right? These are something that where we are seeing where lots of people have started using blockchain. I'll go into each of these one by one. Not all of them, but so for example, in manufacturing, asset tracking is one of them, right? Where as I mentioned, if I am transferring one entity or one object from one place to another place, I need to ensure that the object is transferred in its form that it was created, in the same quality form, in the same shape and structure that it should be, that it was manufactured, that it's been agreed to deliver. There is where blockchain is. So each of these entities in between write data to the blockchain and read the data. The next entity reads the data from the blockchain and ensures that what he has received is the right data, is the right form of the structure. There's nothing has changed, nothing has gone bad. And then we have proper monitoring at these assets. So for example, the injections, we are ensuring that the injection, when it is getting the temperature thermostats over there, the temperature sensors over there, they are ensuring that the data of the temperature is getting written into blockchain, and there is the never, at no moment of time did the temperature go above what was recommended. Then also we are seeing lots of use cases in real time auction and supplier contracts. Now going back to the blockchain inherent capability of smart contracts, right? So lots of time, lots of places now, since the world is opening up, multi-country, cross-region, cross-geography trades are opening up. Okay, and this ensures that now we have contracts which have multiple types of and multiple aspects in place, right? Things like based on WTOs and WTCs standards, different country standards, GDPR standards, etc., etc. So there are auctions that are now happening, which are ensuring that the sellers are able to get more markets to sell. And that would mean that the buyers are not cheated. They need to ensure that they have good contracting practices in place, so that if they purchase something, they ensure that it is in line with the best practices and the country regulations. And that is where the whole contracts of the supplier come into picture, in the blockchain smart contracting come into picture. Supply chain transparency, one of the best examples, and I will give you another detailed example in some time in later in this class. Now, one of the places where we see is supply chain, as I mentioned, is multiple trust domains, right? Multiple trust boundaries, multiple trust domains, and the data crossing these boundaries. How do we ensure that the trust in each of the boundaries is maintained? And that is what the supply chain, the most successful organization or entity which is getting the best price and the best profits, is the guys who are actually ensuring that their products reaching to them with minimal defects and minimal breakage in between, wastage, minimal wastage, reducing wastage, all of that. And that is where the supply chain transparency comes into picture. Blockchain is ensuring that each of these entities, when they are doing this, when they are supplying or when they're transmitting or transferring a particular object or a container or any of the end items, it is done in the most transparent way. And then of course the dynamic commodity pricing, etc., where blockchain ensures that since there are commodity producers, commodity consumers, based on that the commodity producers can update the blockchain prices dynamically into the blockchain. So those are the different areas where we are seeing it is being used in manufacturing. Now in the retail section, one of the airlines in the world, largest airlines in the world actually, they do their loyalty tracking using blockchain, which is Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airlines, their entire loyalty programs runs on blockchain. They using the blockchain, they track the users. I mean, they don't track the users physically or where they are, but they track the flight uh, of the passengers. They track the partners. So wherever you go, suppose you are going and staying in the hotel of the Singapore Airlines partners, you can use the points from there and add it to the Singapore Airlines loyalty program. So that way, and it's also ensuring that there is no bogus points getting added in this whole process. If the person doesn't stay at a particular partner, it doesn't add up. So it is wasted. It is remove wastage in this whole process and ensure that genuine past passengers, genuine partners, genuine customers are getting paid using the blockchain for the Singapore Airlines loyalty programs. Product provenance, logistics management, again, multiple use cases where you have the whole capability of data getting written by multiple trust agencies, multiple trust boundaries, and contracts ensuring that the trust remains intact for the entire flow. Digital rewards, again, one of the examples, same as the loyalty tracking. One of the largest, I will not be able to name the entity, but one of the largest digital rewards program that runs in the country, it runs out of blockchain, where again the same, it ensures that since the digital rewards program has multiple entities in it. So it is, if you go and shop in a particular mall, in a particular outlet, if you go and eat in a particular restaurant, in a particular of a particular brand, and if you go and shop in a particular brand of shops, all those points can be collected into this one wallet, and they ensure that this whole rewards program is completely pure, because after eating in restaurants, you can use the same points to purchase a, a, a jeans. So how does this guy ensure that the customer has actually eaten in the restaurant? And that's because there are two different trust boundaries. So the blockchain ensures that if he's eating there, only then he is getting a point added to his card, which is then being in turn treated as a currency over here. So that's something that is we are seeing in digital. The P2P selling, ticket purchases, etc., is another examples where you go and one of the biggest areas where we are seeing thoughts going into blockchain is boarding passes of flights, where the boarding passes will soon become will go away, will no longer exist. If you are traveling in some of the airports in India, for example, Calcutta is one of them, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, there you no longer need boarding passes. And in some places, you don't even need the boarding passes on your mobile phones. In Bangalore, in Delhi, in Calcutta, in Pune, you don't need even the boarding passes, physical boarding passes, or the boarding passes on a mobile. Your face is the boarding pass. So you just go stand in front of the camera, and you have it. You have the seat number allocated, and you can go and sit, and you check into the flight, and you are able to check into the airport, check into the flight, and you're sitting over there. And all of this is being done by using blockchain. So that is one of the use cases where we are seeing blockchains being used. One of the largest is banking, financials, and insurance. Right. I'll start with insurance. Right. Insurance, one of the most critical business areas where the trust is completely not there. Okay, where your trust is when you ensure that the party, the insurer versus the insurance company, they build a trust in between, and to do that, they use blockchain. One of the largest, Aviva, Lloyds, these organizations have started using blockchain for their claims management. They ensure that because of reduce the fraud in claims and to increase their uh, claims ratio and the claims ratio marking, blockchain has become one of the best tools from them. They ensure that if they are insuring a particular, say they are insuring a vehicle, they are insuring a person for health, or they're insuring a person for life, they are ensuring that they have partnership with the organizations who is part of the blockchain network, and any change in the data for the particular person there is stamped by them. So if I have my vehicle, if my vehicle is insured by a particular organization, insurance company, if my vehicle meets with an accident, and if I go to the workshop to get work done, the workshop will have to put the data into the blockchain network of the insurance company and sign it with their own signature. Only then the insurance company pays the claims, right? And that is what it ensures, that there is no fraud getting done in this whole process. It won't be a scenario where the fix was done for 6,000 rupees, and the person claims 10,000 rupees. So those kinds of things are now getting removed altogether using the insurance claims management. Multiple fraud detections, automated underwriting, risk visualization. One of the areas, we'll talk in KYC here in detail, but one of the areas where we are seeing is lots of underwriting. The insurance, when you go and buy an insurance, they do underwriting for the person who is buying the insurance. The underwriting is now getting automated using blockchain, because insurance companies, not in India currently, but in UK and US, who is one of the largest insurance markets, there the insurance companies have a federated blockchain network of users, where they ensure that the underwriting of the users is done using the blockchain. So it is not that the person can give a different document in a different insurance company and a different document in a different insurance company. The whole underwriting is done automatically using the blockchain. Coming to the banking and capital markets, I'll give you one example. There are multiple audits, bond issuance, trade finance, loan syndication, post-trade settlement, global payments, derivative trading, and KYC. I'll give you a couple of examples. Now, in India, one of the largest blockchains and one of the largest public sector banks, actually the largest public sector bank, they have a KYC mechanism running on blockchain. So if you go to that bank and say bank A, and you give a KYC document, you will not need to go to the other, when you go to the other branch, you will not need to produce the KYC documents again. Your KYC has already been done in the blockchain, and since it is signed by you and signed by the bank, that ensures that your KYC is in the purest form available there. Other bank doesn't need to worry about getting the KYC done until unless there is a change in your KYC. And you can go ahead and use that KYC. And it's not in the same bank, but it's a group of conglomerate of banks. So if you go to a bank A of brand A, and if you go to the bank B of brand B, you will not need to do KYC again in the bank B, okay, of brand B. That is the kind of, well, because the bank A and the brand of brand A has put in your KYC details in the blockchain with its signature, ensuring that this blank bank B of brand B doesn't get into legal hassles in case there's some issue with the KYC. So the data has flown across trust boundaries, two banks, two different brands, and they are sharing the data, they are sharing the KYC. And same with multiple loan syndications, right? There is so much use of blockchain in banking and financials. That is one of the largest sectors. These four sectors are the largest sectors adopting blockchain today. Largest. Huge amount of adoption of blockchain going on these four sectors. Then the other two sectors, we are seeing good intake, good absorption, good picking up of the blockchains, where government, remember I gave an example of land, right? number one. And land records, multiple states in India, they have started thinking about creating a blockchain based land records. Okay, so there are multiple startups in India, multiple organizations in India who have started working on land records based on blockchain. They are ensuring that and land records have been have been one of the most sought after data in the country, where we don't have organized data across all the states. There are few states in the country who have very organized data, but some of the places it's not organized. And what these government organizations are not doing is they are ensuring that we'll bring in this data in in a blockchain to ensure that the land grabbing, land mafia, all of those things are eliminated one by one. So that's great work going on the land records by the government. Licensing and ID now, another example, right? And since there are lots of students on the call, um, government and lots of organizations in across the world, they have started moving to blockchain based certificates. So the educational certificates, couple of universities in UK have already deployed it and they are using it. Their education certificates are now published via blockchain. So if there is a certificate that has been, for example, if there is a certificate that has been issued to me from NIELIT will give that document and sign it from their signature and put it in the blockchain of the certificates. Any other organization who wants to validate my NIELIT certificate doesn't need to ask from me. They can ask me optionally, but they can also at the same time go to the blockchain, get the data from the blockchain directly, and validate it. They can validate the signature, say that okay, this guy, this roll number, this is a genuine record there. If not, then it's not there. And since it is signed by NILIT or the educational institute, there will be no question of that record or that educational certificate being bogus, right? So one of the areas that is absolutely being taken on educational sector is digital certificates, and multiple organization in India, multiple universities across the world are adopting to blockchain based certifications. Benefits distribution, the government's time and again has to distribute benefits, has to send across money to people, to general people, for benefits below poverty line, benefits, etc. Blockchain is becoming one of the tools for them to distribute money and to remove any middleman from between, and to ensure that the money lands in the right hands as of now. That's one of the areas where. Another one is health. Now, I'll talk about the last one very clearly, but there are multiple areas that the health is working on. One is personalized medicines, record sharing, compliance, agricultural authenticity, and pharmaceuticals. In India, there is huge market of pharmaceuticals which are not genuine, right? Non-genuine medicines are rampant in the country. We keep reading news about uh, medicines which are not either expired or not correct, or wrong medicine. We saw in the second wave what was the story of remdesivir, where people were selling water filled in remdesivir, and selling that at the rate of 30,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees. So one of the areas which lots of organizations today have started working, and I'll share one of the use cases there, have and started ensuring or started putting in blockchains to ensure that data from the factory, the medicine from the factory to the guy who buys it, that is validated across. The buyer knows where is the medicine coming from and who has really manufactured the medicine. And each of this is verifiable, each of this is extractable, and the information will be made available or is purely available and accessible to the user who's going to use the medicine. So pharmaceutical purity is one of the areas where blockchain is being used, and is going to be used in all the countries, almost everywhere. So those were the high on a high level. Where are the different industry use cases that we are seeing blockchain being used? Some of the examples that I'm going to take you through is Starbucks, right? Starbucks has used blockchain to ensure that the bean that comes to the coffee cup is in the purest form, right? It is not is entire because the bean is getting manufactured somewhere in Africa or somewhere in US, but it has to reach your cup in India, for example, right? If you are drinking coffee in Starbucks in India, the bean would have been somewhere, it would have been grown sown somewhere else, right? How does Starbucks ensures that that bean is actually a genuine bean being manufactured only for Starbucks or being manufactured using the Starbucks process? And this is the farm to the cup or farm to the plate, and that is where uh, blockchain is being used by. Starbucks needed to have increased visibility in the movement of beans across its vast supply chain. Such a huge supply chain, as I mentioned, it is like their supply chain starts from um, uh, the farms in distant African countries, in distant US, right? And it has to reach cup across the world, right? You have Starbucks across more than 100, countries. They needed to ensure that each store knows where their beans are coming from and whether the beans are genuine or not. And what they did was they put in a blockchain based smart contracts to define responsibility of each supply chain participant, record their activities and monitor bean movement from farm to port. Okay. Now what they ensured that they put in a smart contract on blockchain to ensure that the supply chain participant, if there were 500 participants in the supply chain, everybody record their activities, and the bean was monitored. The movement of the bean was monitored from farm to the port, the cup, right? This ensured, now there are multiple things that has happened, right? Being using this mechanism, they were able to establish credit worthiness of the small farmers. They buy beans from multiple farmers, and they were able to then start paying credits or giving credits to small farmers, even using this, ensuring that their quality remains very high. And they have expanded operations so that if crop fails in one of the areas, it doesn't impact their supplies. They can get it from other areas. And it also improved control of bean movement and inventory. They were able to optimize their inventory. They were able to optimize the movement of the beans in a much better way. And it also gives the customer, the end guy who's drinking, if you want to know where the bean is coming, go and ask the guy, and they will tell you where the bean is coming from. And that's how they did that. There was a massive, so this is the whole flow. The small whole farmer who produces the coffee bean under specified condition to earn organic and fair trade certificate receives proof of end purchase from Starbucks. And this is, so they receive proof of end purchase contract, right? The carrier, then the authenticity is verified and the beans are delivered to the factory. The carrier then takes the beans from the farmers, delivers to the factory. The manufacturer, then containers are verified and the coffee is processed and bagged. The manufacturers verifies the containers from the blockchain. Everything is being done from the blockchain, is processed and bagged. And then the distributor takes the coffee, moves to the distributor network under high quality assurance regulations. Remember, I mentioned temperature, humidity, what is the mechanism of picking, dropping, etc. The physical impact on the beans, all of that is monitored throughout the distributor network. And then it is regulated, it is then moved. The retailer bags each of these at the retailing unit, and then the customer can purchase and even view the certificates. So the end where you purchase, you can go and purchase the beans, also you can go and purchase the coffee, you can have all of those. Now that is the whole capability that they have used as a blockchain. They have ensured that this guy knows where the coffee is coming from. This guy knows that which all carrier carried this, and what happened during this, because if the retailer says that this has not been delivered in particular quality, he can then see the quality where it got defective, whether it was with him or with the manufacturer or with the carrier, all of that. So it gives a visibility of to each stakeholder of what has happened previously to the product and what has he done to the product. Is there any negative impact that he has done to the product, and whether he has delivered it in the best form. So that's how the transparency that has been done and that has been provided in the whole blockchain process. Next one is again financial services, Xiaomi, where Xiaomi wanted a broad ecosystem of partners and suppliers that lacked the connectivity and transparency needed to scale trust and quickly verify credit for banking and factoring. Okay, now Xiaomi was again they had their supply chain for financial services, and they wanted to ensure that they when they are, because they have to give credits to their suppliers, they have to give credits to the people who are their stockists, etc., right? And how do you ensure that, how will they ensure that they the people who are their stockists are actually credit worthy to to stock the Xiaomi devices, right? And to do that, they use the blockchain to ensure that and to ensure that they were giving credit to the right people and the right entity. They worked with, of course, they worked with Microsoft and to streamline trust on a shared blockchain based data layer, and connected apps and systems using throughout their system. So then they created this central blockchain system which digitized the credit establishment. They ensured that they now start digitizing the credit establishment, right? And it ensured that because all of the entities in between, they were sending the data, the apps in between were sending the data to the blockchain, the time frame reduced to do a credit check of a particular stockist or a particular retailer. And also they digitized the whole credit establishment. It was very easy. I'm sorry, when they were able to bring in the credit capability of credit evaluation of a particular entity, it became very faster, and also it reduced the reduced the IT effort. And this is what they had, this app, they had that SAP application. Using the SAP application and the BRM application, they had their suppliers, they created the PO, created the ASN, created GR, and then they paid for the shipment. So what it ensured that each of these systems was writing to the central blockchain, and when each of these entities, like a PO was created, that was created in the blockchain, and ASN was created, that was created in the blockchain, and the GR. So what Xiaomi had a very clear visibility of who is doing what, and where is the situation, where is the actual device, where is the device actually lying, where is the device actually getting, who has bought it, hasn't bought it, who hasn't sold it, all of that. And for them to release money to the entities, to the people, became very clear. Key. This is the person who has the money, who should be given money, not this person. And that is what is making them ensure that their supply chain was fully greased and fully ensured that it was completely, and that's, we are seeing the whole the market capture of Xiaomi, right? Xiaomi is one of the leading brands in of mobile and electronics device in India, right? So that's the advantage that they are getting. One of the another examples that was 3M, right? 3M is one of the high quality products manufacturing company, and they also manufacture pharmaceuticals, and they ensure that using blockchain they ensure the authenticity of their products, right? They introduced a mechanism to stop counterfeit medicines. Okay, their counterfeit drugs was negatively impacting their brand reputation, and overall revenue was getting hurt because of the counterfeit medicines that were getting sold in the market. They bought up the blockchain and built up an innovative service to track specially labeled packages through the entire supply chain. They built QR codes on the product, and these QR codes and the application accessing these QR codes started talking with the blockchain. Okay, each of the step, right? They started talking with the blockchain and stamping the data in the blockchain. So the QR code, QR codes are not easily cannot be easily copied, and the QR codes label were used to expose the tampering and facilitate easy tracking. What happened was, using these, their counterfeit was massively blocked, massively blocked, and real-time registry validation and custodial recording combated counterfeit and eliminated the risk of fraudulent double selling through secure attestable data. So now the data, now their medicines, both the authenticity of the medicine, the counterfeit was stopped, the authenticity was guaranteed, and there was no double selling. So there they had huge benefit of ensuring. So they started stamping the medicine at each step. They, when they so manufactured, during suppliers, by data getting through the suppliers, getting through the distributors, retailers, etc., ensured that there was no counterfeit, and when the final consumer was taking the medicine, he could actually validate the medicine whether it was genuine or counterfeit. And this is what they did. The manufacturer, the drug originated the pharmaceutical manufacturer. The drugs packaged according to the appropriate dosage and sealed with 3M double trust multi-layer QR code labels, right? So when these drugs were packaged, it was sealed with the double trust. That's it's a 3M's product, which is called as double trust, which has multiple QR code labels. Then there are multiple carriers. The product is securely shipped with QR codes, verifying transfer at each step. So 10 strips of a particular medicine drug reaches 10 strips in stage 1, 10 strips in stage 2, 10 strips in stage 3. All of those are getting validated. Nothing lost in between, no additional added in there. Warehouse product is again verified and stored in the appropriate secure environment. And carrier 2 again confirms the receipt of 1,000 authentic bottles with verified QR codes. And the retail store then has those 100 out of these, say 100 bottles were rejected before shelving due to incorrect QR codes. As soon as these retail stores receive those and they try to authenticate this against the blockchain, they see that 100 of them was not stored in the proper form, has lost the integrity of the data and has lost the integrity of the medicine, rejected. And they had the full power to reject it because that was stamped by 3M. That was stamped for authenticity by 3M in the blockchain. Now, if the retail is rejecting it, they have the full right to reject this because this is owned by the 3M itself, and this is owned by the medicine, and 3M is giving via blockchain them the permission and the right to reject that data. So that is the whole advantages, and they have used shared ledger for this, and that's one of them. Another example, right? Merck's. If you don't know about Merck's is the largest uh, shipping company or logistics company in the world, and they have thousands and thousands of ships and containers, multi millions of containers across the globe. If you have something on your table, or if you're eating something, if you're using a mobile phone, probably 20 to 30% of that is coming via Merck's. And Merck's wanted to improve efficiency, transparency, and data accuracy with the plethora of parties. Again, the same mechanism. How does the data reach you? How does the entity reach you? And they built this whole blockchain-based mechanism to have the real-time visibility into the transit of where the actual entity is, where the ship is, where the container is, and to establish the accurate, dynamic, and fair underwriting and prices. Again, it is the same because they have to pay the people in between who is transferring the containers, transferring the object. and they wanted to see real time where the object was, what is the condition of the object, is it that it is in a particular condition and in particular temperature, humidity, etc., etc. So they ensured that if and when there is a insurance also, because if a particular product is lost in between, a particular ship is lost, a container is dropped in the ship, in the sea, etc., the Maersk has to pay to the owner of the container, to the owner of the product, and they get this from the insurance companies. So insurance companies had to ensure that the ship that was carrying didn't go into a danger zone, which was not insured, etc. That was done using blockchain, right? For example, they had to go from, say, destination A to destination B, and it was the ideal path of this is the dotted line. But due to some commercial aspects, the ship took a path which went into a danger zone. As soon as it goes into a danger zone, since the data is being transmitted from the ship, the blockchain of the ship and the containers becomes invalid, and it invalidates the rows. And so the insurance companies are at the full right, as well as the Maersk is at full right to charge the money back from the ship itself, or for XYZ reason. And if it doesn't go and still there is a loss, the insurance companies will pay because they are part of the blockchain. They are also ensuring that they are part of the contract, and they pay to Maersk without much hassles there. So this has really happened, and this is really helping Maersk not lose money, as well as insurance companies not paying for something that they shouldn't be paying. And Musk has also ensured that they have started optimizing their path. They have started ensuring that they don't go, in sea there are multiple areas where if you go, the ships get lost, right? The ships sink, etc., etc. That's a common scenario that happens. And for example, there are war zones in sea, and those are the areas where these containers shouldn't be going, because they might get caught up in crossfire, etc. So those are the danger zones where they don't have to go, and that is what they need to ensure, that they don't lose the goods, the materials, when they're transmitting it, and they don't lose anything on the way when they're transferring it. And that's where the blockchain is really helping them. So now I'm moving to almost the last section of this is, as a student, what are the different areas that you will work if you become a blockchain expert, right, or a blockchain technical guy? There are multiple things that you do as when you become a blockchain technical resource. You build the network yourself, right? Now, blockchain network, there are multiple types of blockchain networks, right? There are private networks and the public networks. You would already be knowing that. If you become a part of the public network, yeah, you'll have to maintain your node, and you'll have to ensure that that node is connected to the public network. But if you have to create a private network, you create the private network yourself, and you will have to manage and maintain the private network, as well as integrate it with all the other parties who are going to become part of that private network. So suppose you join an organization who's building a private network. You build that private network, you administer the private network, also ensure that all the people who are integrating with your organization or doing a data transfer, trust domain, as I mentioned, domain boundaries, trust boundaries. If organizations are across different trust boundaries, you ensure that blockchain nodes are integrated. That's what you do. That's one of the areas. The second area is manage health node, right? Since you will be administrator, you will have to manage the node of the health, ensure that your data is backed up, it's not lost, it's there, the nodes are there. If the node goes down and it comes up, the data sync happens, etc. And you choose when you are doing a designing of the blockchain itself, you will have to choose the best ledger, right? Which is the ledger that you would want to do, and which is the network type that you would want to do. You want to go Corda, do you want to do Ethereum, etc. All of that you will have to do, and you'll have to choose the ledger accordingly. And writing the smart contract, this is one of the areas where there's a huge amount of prospect as a technical student, huge amount of prospects. Writing smart contracts and writing the contracts in a way that it clearly marries or clearly brings in all the aspects of the data. We understand this is a data transfer between two trust boundaries. That means it is a legal contract, and that legal contract is getting transferred to a technical contract. And smart contract writer would mean that you are both an expert on technology as well as an expert on the business understanding of the whole exchange between them. So this is one of the most fanciest and the most I would also want to become a smart contract someday, but I don't know whether I'll be able to. But since you guys are coming up from institutions, try and become one of the smart contract writers. That's one of the fanciest things that you can think about doing. And then again, writing business logic, right? Smart contract is part of it. Then writing the business logic is one of them, where you also, this smart contract, execution of the smart contract, the whole business logic inside the smart contract. How does the flow happen? What is the flow? What happens if this? What happens and when to hit the smart contract? When to write this data into the blockchain? What key to use when? How to validate the data? How to ensure that the blockchain data that we are writing the purest data, and tomorrow if it is questioned, if we are questioned the data, we are able to give the answer to why we wrote that data. All of that as a business logic. And you have to assign nodes at entities and provision membership. This is again part of build network, connect nodes, deploy ledgers, manage node health, assign node entities, provision members. All of these are part of administration. So one part is administration of the blockchain, second part is programmability of the blockchain, bringing the smartness to the blockchain using the smart contract business logic. Establish node roles, node network governance, customize integrations. This is again part of the network administration itself, enforcing policy, managing permissions, and extension to additional networks. So if I divide the whole blockchain uh, roles in an organization, you will you have opportunities in blockchain as administrator, blockchain as policy insurers, the security and the policy insurers, I would say. And the third stream is your blockchain intelligence, which is building the business intelligence or business logics or business application on top of blockchain. So three distinct capabilities or three distinct roles that you have when you join or when you aspire to become a blockchain expert. So again, repeating, blockchain administrator, where you go ahead and deploy, manage, monitor, network, chain, nodes, ensure that your partners join the network. That is your administration. Policy, governance, and security, where you decide the policy of the blockchain. If it's a public network, what is the policy of why are you joining that? What is the different governance that you are putting into the blockchain? What are the types of governance that are required? What, because that governance will go into the smart contract part of it. What are the different security that you would be, how would you ensure that your keys that you're using for signing is not being used in public, this doesn't go in public? How are you ensuring the keys are protected? So all of those are something that is part of the security, governance, and policy. And third one is the smart contract and the business logic writing. So those are three very broad level verticals of where you can go as a technical capability, as a technical guy into the blockchain world. And these are the guys in India who are actually these are some of the companies or some of the organizations who work in blockchain in India as of now. And this is probably a few months old, but and lots of them I know personally, because lots of them work with me. We have Synachron, Cognizant, Infosys, Accenture, KPMG, Cosensus, ArcTouch, LTI, Larsen& Toubro, and TCS, Wipro, Everest, Kogenka, EY with Ernst Young, Block.io, Macau, PwC, TechM, Quisitive, Microsoft, Merck, 3M, UNESCO, HSBC, Schneider Electric. Now, these are some of them. There are multiple other organizations also. There are multiple startups that are coming up in blockchain. But these are the organizations which are actually recruiting people in blockchain and doing heavy work, heavy lifting in the blockchain, where they're actually going through deploying projects. They have actually, these guys actually have gone ahead and deployed multiple projects. Like EY has done, the 3M example that I gave, that was done by EY, Ernst and Young. So multiple of these organizations are, L&T is doing couple of places where they are deploying blockchain in financials. They are doing blockchain in manufacturing. I know Accenture and Infosys, they are doing in manufacturing and supply chain. So multiple of these organizations are actually working in blockchain and doing projects in blockchain. And these are the places where you can go and be of great value to them. So that's I think that was all I had. So if you have questions, we can go ahead and start answering. Ma'am, how does the question come in?
Yeah, so we are checking it in the YouTube live. Just give me a while. Participants, if you have any questions, please put it in the comment section, which is there in the YouTube live session which you're attending.
Any questions you have, even if you have any other technical questions, you can try and ask. I can try and answer, or any questions that I have done, yeah, we can try and answer those questions.
So, can you enlighten upon the opportunities after graduation, what training they can take up so that.
Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, ma'am, there are three basic, three fundamental verticals that they can think about, right? One is your smart contract administrator, the blockchain administrators itself, right? Where an administration would mean setting up the blockchain, setting up the network nodes, setting up the servers, the entire network itself, ensuring that they monitor the partner network, the partner chains, partner nodes, etc. That is one, the administrator. The second one is the policy governance and security, right? Where they will build the whole policy of blockchains, right? What would be why is the blockchain getting implemented in the country? What would be the policy? Why would they want to have blockchain? What is the purpose of the blockchain? What are the different things that the blockchain would be used for? If it is supply chain, what is that each of the entities in between will be writing to the blockchain and reading from the blockchain? What would be, when they are writing, what is that mandatory things that they will be needing supplying the blockchain, etc. Then the security part of it is how to ensure that the signatures of the organization doesn't get lost or doesn't get stolen, and where do you store that? Is it a hardware security module, etc.? Where do you do that? So that is second broader vertical. The third vertical is, of course, the coding part of it, where create the smart contract, here's the business logic. So there are different certifications. I'm not really very clear on which institutions provide these kinds of trainings, but these are the three verticals where the students can focus and go and study for the blockchain and enable their course or their careers in blockchain.
Thank you so much, sir. We have our WhatsApp group. There are 3 WhatsApp group through which the participants have joined. And in case if they put up any query, I would forward it to you.
Sure.
So it was a wonderful session and it was enlightening also for all of us, where the world is going with blockchain and where are the different, what are the different use cases that are available with blockchain, where the students can think of either for research or either for development. So I hope all the participants they are benefited with this enlightening session on blockchain. Thank you so much, sir, on behalf of NIELIT Kolkata.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we'll put the session to an end. And thank you all the participants for joining with us, for viewing our blockchain initiative webinars. We would be coming up with more practical sessions in the coming months under this project. And there are certain trainings also lined up for the participants if they think of getting trained in blockchain technology. So that is also being offered by NIELIT Kolkata. That also we'll update you in the webinar group that we have created for this blockchain technology. Thank you once again on behalf of NIELIT Kolkata to all the participants, to all the coordinators, and to the speaker. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.